I went to university at the University of Ottawa and lived out in Nepean and then Bell's Corners. So partway through university, did a calculation and discovered that I spent more than 1/4 of my waking life on or waiting for OC Transpo buses. So the first verse of this song, I'm sure rings loud and clear with any of you who have similar situations, where especially when you've got an 8:30 class or whatever, and it's still dark and you go to school in the dark, and sometimes you get home from school in the dark and it's cold and the bus isn't coming, and you're thinking, do I run to another route in the snow and ice and risk missing the bus if it does come, and all this stuff. But bus shelter shuffle specifically is just this thing I observed that decided to give a name to for the sake of this song, where, I'll put my phone down here somewhere, where when it's, there's a duck in the water. When it's cold and you're trying to keep warm and you've been standing in the same place for a long time, everybody kind of does the same thing, where they put their hands in their pockets and they do this with their neck, trying to keep everything as tight as possible to keep the heat in, and they're doing this, and everybody's a little bit embarrassed, so they start like this. But then if one person just doesn't care and they're full, then everybody else starts to do it too. So that's the namesake of this song, is that whole thing. As far as production, it's funny when you make a beat like that and try to deliver non-melodic, it's not quite rap, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just doing it. It's really difficult to not just sound like Will Smith. But then the other thing was, I got to the bridge and I just improvised it. That's what I do a lot of the times when I'm doing melody stuff, is I don't go in with a plan a lot of the time. I just improvise a couple takes and choose my favorite. And when I did that, I found that I listened back and went, oh geez, Norah Jones. Which I love Norah Jones, so I guess that subconsciously came out somehow, but that amused me, especially in the context of this song. But yeah, other than that, the only thing worth mentioning is the trumpets in the song were MIDI trumpets, which MIDI horns, well, not trumpets, it's a whole bunch of horns, but MIDI horns are just terrible. They don't have dynamics, so I played them and it just wasn't cutting it, so staggered them a bit, still wasn't cutting it. And then what I did is I did about 20 to 30 takes of me just going and then stacked them all. And you can't really tell, but it brings a little bit more life to it, but you've got to be subtle with it, or all you hear is my stupid mouth trumpets. And then just dumped reverb on it and called it a day, because I didn't have any budget for the song. Corey on guitar and bass, that guy's just a genius. Love working with him. And every time I listen to it, you think you've got the song figured out, and then the bass in that second verse hits. Love it. And my buddy Jericho on mix and master. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the song.